This is the core tent for family camping, the 10-person cabin-style shelter I've been using on a handful of car camping weekends with my family. My first impression was how big and boxy it feels once it's up. The straight walls don't slope in like a dome, so the 14 by 10 foot floor actually feels usable, and the 86-inch peak height lets me walk around without ducking. In my opinion, that's the main draw here: real standing room and space to move gear without crouching. 2 queen air mattresses fit with room to walk between, and I've also done 4 cots, though that's tight once you add bags and a cooler. The 10-person label only makes sense if you're laying sleeping bags shoulder to shoulder with 0 gear. From my experience, it's perfect for a family of 3 to 5 who want space, not a crowd of 10. Before I go further, a quick note: that core 10-person cabin isn't one single setup. There's a traditional straight wall version that uses separate steel and fiberglass poles, an instant version with pre-attached telescoping steel poles, and versions that swap the standard partial rain fly for a full coverage fly. Those differences matter. The instant body does pop up fast, and the full fly is much better in rough weather. My own tent is the straight wall model with the standard fly, and I've also spent 2 nights in a friend's full rainfly version during a stormy forecast. I'll separate those experiences so you know what to expect. Set up on the straight wall model is old school tent building. I can't do it solo without frustration because getting the roof propped and tensioned is awkward at this height. With 2 people who know the steps, I clock about 10 to 12 minutes from bagged to staked with the rainfly on. The instant version is easier on the brain because you're not threading poles. I can raise the body alone in a few minutes. But the marketing line about 2 minutes isn't realistic if you count the parts that actually keep your tent safe: staking the corners, tossing the fly over the top, clipping it down, and guying it out. Full setup on the instant still runs me 10 to 15 minutes, and the rainfly is the trickiest bit for one person, just because of the tent's height. Quick tip that saved me headaches: leave the doors and a couple windows unzipped when you take it down, so you don't trap air in the tent body. It rolls tighter and actually fits the carry bag. The bag is just a bit small, so a neat roll makes all the difference. Key features that stood out to me were the ventilation and the interior organization. The ceiling is mostly mesh, which is great for stargazing when the sky is clear, and there are adjustable lower vents that pull cool air from ground level. That high-low airflow does a nice job minimizing condensation. The storage pockets and the gear loft keep small stuff off the floor, and there's an E-port, so I can run a cord from my power box to a fan or string lights. The divider lets me split the tent into 2 zones, but I want to set expectations. It's a thin fabric curtain. It creates sections, but it's not real privacy. If you're hoping for a true 2-bedroom vibe, plan to add a heavier curtain or rethink the layout. Weather is where the model differences really show up. The tent fabric is 1200mm rated polyester. Seams are sealed, and the rainfly is taped. That's fine for light rain and misty mornings. During a steady 1-hour shower, my standard fly tent stayed dry. In heavier rain, I did start seeing water sneak in at the door zipper and a lower seam near one of the ground vents. It wasn't a flood, but it was enough that I had to towel it up and keep the windows zipped completely closed, which kills the airflow. On the flip side, the full rainfly version I borrowed handled a long stormy night much better. That extra coverage protects the doors and windows from wind-driven rain, and it creates a small covered vestibule where I stashed muddy boots and a soft-sided cooler. In my opinion, if you expect anything beyond light, predictable rain, the full rainfly is worth it. It adds weight and bulk, but it fixes the main weak point of the standard setup. Wind performance depends entirely on staking and guy lines. A quick definition if you're new: guy lines are the ropes that pull the fly and tent walls outward and down to stakes, adding tension and stability. Without them, the near-vertical walls can catch wind like a sail. With every guy line set and stakes at the right angle, mine has ridden out gusty evenings just fine. I've seen it hold up during a 30-mile-per-hour front by making sure every anchor point was used and retensioning lines before bed. If you're in an exposed campsite, put the narrow end of the tent into the wind, get all the lines out, and don't skip the mid-wall guy-outs. On durability, I've had mixed luck. Most trips have been smooth, but I did receive one tent with a nick on a steel pole that made it hard to seat until I filed it down. And a separate box had a fiberglass roof pole that arrived split. I exchanged that one. Zippers work, but the door zipper occasionally snagged on the surrounding fabric until I ran a little zipper lube along the coil. One funny, not funny moment. My husky learned how to nose the double zipper open from the inside, so I started clipping the zipper pulls together with a carabiner at night. That solved it, and also kept the door more resistant to wind creep. Space and comfort are where this tent shines. The straight walls let me push a cot or a queen mattress right to the side without the fabric pressing in. Headroom is real, not just at the peak. I can stand and change clothes without thinking about where my head is. It feels more like a small room than a nylon wedge, which makes bad weather days far less claustrophobic. The windows are decent, though I wish they were a touch bigger for more cross breeze when it's hot. When the fly is off, the ceiling screen turns the interior into a skylight. When the fly is on, you do lose that open feel, but the vents keep things fresh, unless you have to zip it all shut against wind-driven rain. Weight and pack size are typical for a 10-person car camping tent. Mine weighs a bit over 31 pounds and packs to about 28.5 by 11.5 by 11 inches in the duffel. The instant version rides in a longer bag, around 4 feet, which can be awkward if you have a small trunk. Neither is backpacking friendly, but that's not what this tent is for. It's a base camp shelter you set once and enjoy for a couple nights. From my experience, the value depends on which version you pick. The standard straight wall model is great for fair weather and delivers a ton of space for the price. The instant version simplifies setup, particularly if you often camp solo or arrive late and want less hassle. The full rainfly version is the one I'd take for shoulder season trips or anywhere storms are common. In my opinion, the sweet spot is instant plus full fly if your budget allows. You get easier setup and better weather insurance with the trade-off of extra weight and a longer carry bag. It's perfect for families who car camp, want real standing room, and prefer the flexibility to set up 2 sleeping zones for kids and adults, not people who truly need to sleep 10 with gear. I'd recommend this for campers who value interior space and simple livability over cutting every ounce, and who don't mind taking an extra few minutes to stake and guy every corner so the tall walls feel solid in wind. If you need actual privacy between 2 rooms, bring a heavier curtain. If you're heading into a rainy forecast, upgrade to the full fly. Bring quality stakes for your soil type, and consider seam sealing the lower seams as a precaution. In conclusion, the core 10-person family camping tent nails the cabin experience. Straight walls, excellent headroom, and a layout that feels like a livable space, not just a place to sleep. Setup is quick enough once you know the steps. The ventilation works, and the organization touches matter when you're juggling kids, pets, and gear. The standard fly is fine for light rain, but if storms are a possibility, the full fly is the safer bet. That's how I've been using it, and that's how I'd buy it. Is this video helped? Hit subscribe and drop your questions or your own experience with this tent in the comments. Thank you for watching.